back, guys and girls. I'm pretty excited to bring you this episode of Dad's Toy Garage. Working on Project Judith, my 1973 Toyota Celica, and we're finishing up the engine bay shave or smooth, whatever you want to call it. This thing is going to look super by the end of this episode, and you get to see color going a lot of parts of the car, and I'm loving this color of blue. So let's get into this. Let's have some fun with this and enjoy it. I've given my shop a nice clean. I kind of want to have it clean to paint, would be awesome. We're going to do fresh masking. And I had planned on this engine bay and the hood getting painted now, and that was it. And then I was talking to my dad at work, and he said, "Why are you stopping there?" And I said, "Good point." He said I should do the door jambs right away. The trunk jambs. And like back side of the trunk, back side of the doors, get that all done at the same time. I can then go assemble this car at that point and start the final preparations for like wet sand and stuff like that. I like that idea. I think I will work with that too. So what we're gonna do next is probably prep these jam works. I think I've done most of it with wet sand. It's just been a while already. So we'll guide coat that stuff one by one piece. Start with the door jambs, trunk jambs. And at that point, we'll probably be doing these door jambs. I think a lot of it has been done. I just got to check and make sure there's no overspray on there from sitting in the shop with the other painting. So in the trunk jam area here, I am just using red Scotch-Brite pads, these guys here, and that'll be good enough in here. Basically I guide coated it, and now I'm taking off the guide coat with this, then I know I got every area hit. I'm pretty sure I've gotten this done in the past, I can't remember anymore, but it is a little rough at this point. This will just take that dry overspray off of there. And I got sand on these hinges as well. I almost forgot about them. I had them masked up so I wouldn't get them full of body filler. But we'll paint the jam in here as well so we can mount that trunk and paint the trunk flat on the car when we actually paint the exterior of the car. So a little trick I learned in here from my dad, he uses a foam tape and put the foam tape along here once we get it done. And that will allow this edge to be almost invisible instead of putting a hard tape edge there, which would look ugly. And so you can kind of see here. And you don't want any, primer is primer. You still got to have something to bite into after the recoat window is closed. So this will work for that. I'm also going to be wet sanding the door jambs up to 600 grit. I'm in the middle of it here. So they're going to be smooth. Once again, 600 grit paper folded 3 times, and I got the Scotch-Brite pad in the middle there, just to help prevent getting finger marks in there. I just finished 600 grit wet sanding door jamb. I also did the rocker panel here. Right here is the quarter panel to rocker panel seam. And what I'm going to do when I paint the jamb is I'm going to paint up to this seam. And then I'll have that done. It'll just be a nice cutoff point because it goes right into the under the fender there. And then I've just scuffed up top with Scotch-Brite. I'll probably run my line just under the drip rail here. And we'll do the other door jamb the same way. I wanted to show you guys, I don't know if we got enough light to do this, but how smooth that gets. This is water on there now, but it's wet sanded. That's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing color on there. I want to say a big thank you to my paint rep, Mike at Color Compass. They're formerly Chase. He hooked me up with this paint here and clear, and super awesome guy. And you couldn't ask for a better guy to distribute paint. And I want to say, yeah, thank you very much. And thank you to your team for mixing it up. So let's get on with the process of what needs to happen now in the painting. So I've already blown off these parts here. And just with this tool, works excellent, a lot of pressure. The next step is going to be, you can see I wet the floor a little bit. I've got the water can in here. That'll help the dust stick to the floor instead of blow up when I'm spraying downwards on these doors. I'm going to water it again one more time after that. So we're going to plug in the fan here. So I've blown it off. I've masked it. I've even masked up all the little holes in here. Try and keep that dust down. You wouldn't have to mask the top here. You'll never see it. It gets a vapor barrier shield plastic. I'm going to be wiping with pre-cleano after I get my paint suit on, and we'll water the floor and then we'll tack it one more time and mix our paint. Guys, I got about 3 coats of base on these door jambs on the inside of the doors, and the color is absolutely beautiful. I'm very impressed with it. That's Mazda Celestial Blue. So much depth to it. So I'm gonna let this sit for the 20 minutes it needs, and then we're gonna hit it with 2 coats of clear. All right, I'm gonna mix up the AG40 LV, and I'm going to be putting in the AH202, that's the medium speed reducer, and we're going to look at the tech sheet here, and it says we're going to mix it at 2:1, so 2 parts AG40 LV, and the other part will be the AH series 1 part. So we're going to go minimum. I can always make more because I don't want to waste. I always overmix, that's my problem. Alright guys, girls, the doors are done on the back side, and I'm very happy with how shiny they are. But I'm happy with the clear, it works awesome. There's no texture in it, so it looks sanded and buffed. That's pretty cool. Isn't that color gorgeous? And we're in the shop. When it's outside, it's gonna look totally different again. That's the cool part about this blue. I've also done the hinges, which I imagine are stuck to here. We'll have to deal with that yet. They're not going anywhere, but I didn't really have a way to hang them up and spray, so I'll probably just have to make sure the paper's off the back side. But yeah, there's the hinges. They match. And I did them early with this part, so when I go to assemble these and put them back on the car, they're dry enough to handle. You can actually touch it already, and this is only a couple hours later, the next day. So these are gonna get unmasked and go back into the house, and then I'm gonna work on the hood and the trunk. I have a pretty good air compressor, not quite enough CFM. I'm probably gonna have to upgrade this thing in the future. And then this thing wouldn't stop running, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I've had this problem before. Where the filters go. This filter was on this thing here, and as you can see, that's the intake for the motor. A lot of crud gets into there. It sits inside here. So I blew it out last night when I was painting the doors. Now I've got this filter just as a replacement because the local hardware store where I bought the compressor wasn't carrying these right now. I'll probably put a bigger filter on. Ideally, I would like to vent this thing outside, but that's not going to happen. The other thing I'm concerned about is winter air coming in here, creating more condensation. So we should probably let the water out of the tank before we start a new paint job. Let's get a glove on here. Normally I have it cracked a bit, but I thought that was the problem. So I've screwed on this new piece. I want to have this down, I think is ideal. We're going to put the new filter in there. Cheapo. But it sits tight against there, I guess that's important. Then we're going to stick this on here. Here's my thought. I've kind of taped old paint booth filter to here so I can visually see when it's plugging up. And I got more. I want to keep the actual filter cleaner for longer. It allows more air pressure for painting, less runtime, less condensation, etc. So I'm going to try that. It seems to not do any extra draw with that on there. If that don't work, it comes off and we'll just change filters more often. Got the next three parts I want to get painted: trunk lid, front core support brace, and the hood. And what I'm going to do is I'll give them a bit of a scuff. You can see our fresh primer on here, or primer on there that hasn't been sanded. Just a scuff, so any overspray that lands on here, going to just stick to it, and then I can wet sand it off later. And I'm going to have to pre-clean it before anything else. You can see this one's got some contamination for sitting like a year in primer or so. So I'll pre-clean all this stuff off, and then I'll scuff it, and then we'll flip it over and get ready to paint. Well, I went and actually I masked up the back side of this, and then I just kind of soft edge taped this off here, just because that is underneath ready for paint. We'll need a minor wet sand. This side I just did the front edge. I didn't want a lot of overspray on here, and there's a bit of bare metal because the body work needs to be done, and some of the primer I sanded off when I hammered out some dents, so we don't rust under there. But now I'm going to pre-clean all these, the hood, and these parts. I gotta hang this piece up yet, and pre-clean it, blow it off, tack it, spray it. So let's get that done. I've got the trunk, back of the side and the trunk and the back side of the hood prepped, pre-cleaned. They need to be tacked yet, and I gotta put water in the floor. But we're gonna mix paint and do those two things last minute. So we'll stir this up real good. Alright, let's go tack and paint. I ended up just putting 2 base coats down. It's a trunk lid, so it's not like you'll see it a ton, and it does look like it's got full coverage. The hood also has 2 base coats, and we got full coverage there from what I'm seeing. So we'll leave it at that. That way if I need to have extra for the body and I do the exterior, I have it where it counts. And this does look like full coverage already, so. Alright guys, I got the clear coat loaded up. I'm gonna blow this off with a gun, and then we'll tack it, and then I'll get into spraying. So I'm expecting it a little bit more dusty. I blew it out as much as I can, but we still got a lot of edges in here that I can't mask off because we gotta have color behind them. So cross my fingers, that's not too much detail work later. And guys, I'm using the medium speed reducer to dry. Hood and trunk are now sprayed in clear, and man, I love that gloss. It's looking so good. And surprisingly, there is very little dust in here. That's impressive. I thought there'd be a lot more dust, especially on this hood panel with all of these little nooks and crannies. One of the things that really impressed me with this clear is how wet you can build it before it runs. You've seen me, hopefully it showed up in the videos, I have to go review them yet. But all these edges, I turned down the pattern, hit it there, four to five light passes in the edges, especially up in here, in there. And in here was important to me. I don't know how much you'll see later, but when you do see, it's the little details, right? So when you see in there, I hit it at all angles, so it's shiny in there. And then the next thing I did, I hit the edges, all the edges first, this way. So aiming my pattern straight at it, around the perimeter of the hood. Then I went this way, nice and slow, took my time with it, let her build up with a lot of atomization. And then after that, I took it over this way. And then to just get the gloss, because you don't want to run it off the high points, I went in here one more time, just to really lay it flat. So You can do that on a flat panel. You just got to be careful. If you get too heavy, it'll start gassing off on you. We got a little lighting in here, but parts I've painted so far. So masking's a lot on this car. I got the trunk done here, and I've also ran this foam tape. It's reused from work to save a bit of cash, and I've just taped it down. But the way I did the trunk was the same as I'm doing this. I put some netting down here of tape, and then this tape is actually stuck from the inside. You can see it there. So that's sticking on to there, and then I got a sticky edge to work with. This is all stuck down here as netting, and I've gone foam tape around there, and then I've done the reverse tape on there. I'm gonna tape it to the floor, keep the chassis clean underneath, and foam tape edge here. So we want to paint engine bay, door jambs, both sides, and trunk. And I've actually put a hard line here, or a hard edge of tape, because I'm going to paint this black. I've looked on some cars, or some of these, or actually probably all of them, you can see through the taillight's body color. I want that to be black. I think that will really stand out in a hidden good way, I guess. Little details. Have a look here. The masking is done, and I actually could use the sticky edge as I trimmed it to hold down the masking and trim it a lot easier. And really the only reason I'm masking this interior off is any dust that's in there, which there is, won't land up in my paint job. And we're gonna wet the floor, so that should be the majority of that. Masking's done. I'm going to be painting this part of the trunk. Kind of boxed in these corners for the hinges so we can get those painted. You can see in here where I'll be doing the door jambs. I'm going to be doing the rocker all the way to the floor. And then I'll wrap around here. Got the engine bay mast. And this side. So we're getting close to all our interior parts done here. I got the car all pre-cleaned off with the Pre-Clean 0900. So I'm gonna tack her off now and we'll get ready to spray. I'm pretty excited. So much stuff painted, looks so good. And I gotta show you guys what got done last night. This is 3 nights of painting, about 6 hours each, including the masking. This last evening was a big job. It was more like afternoon and evening. Afternoon to prep, and I had my son in the shop when we were working on that together. So let's check it out. So I've done the jamb work and the hinges. Boxing it off has helped here. There's the gloss in there, sprayed up in there. It was pretty challenging. We're looking at the bottom of the rockers here, but pretty challenging getting underneath because I don't have enough room with a gravity feed gun. I could turn it upside down, but you don't get the fluid delivery. And the other side, same thing. All brand new panels or fabricated. And these corners were all built from scratch. And all the spot welds, they're gone in there. So same idea here. They're all gone and they're not showing up. But here is the beauty. I'm loving it, lots and lots. The smooth firewall. Just look at the gloss of that matrix clear. That's the Eurodesign clear. Lots of nooks and crannies. Not enough airflow. This fan, I want to get a bigger thing on there, and then I just baffled it here so that because it was kind of blowing. You can see where I have it. Shaved engine bay, firewall. All the spot welds are gone. No spot welds in there. Look at the gloss of that matrix Eurodesign clear. So good, so good. And that blue is something else. I love it. But we're gonna unmask this in a little bit. And so yeah, I should have probably brought 2 filters home for the mask, the half mask I was wearing. Because once you get in this area here and you start spraying, you're going on guesswork, because with the very little draw I have, this gets like a foggy morning. And the filter's plugged up pretty quick. I just made it before I couldn't breathe through them. Crazy, crazy. But, yeah, one more view here. Chose to spray it all together in one car once it's done. So that means doing all the jam work, engine bay first, and then I'll back mask, I think you call it, the tape, or use new foam tape. But yeah. And the challenge was getting up in the rockers here, getting it shiny because I have my gravity feed gun. But it worked. Car's all unmasked. Door jambs are unmasked. The big one here for me is the engine bay is unmasked with all the black in there. It's looking sharp, but got that stuff all unmasked. No overspray where I didn't want it. So that's good. Just looking at the flip-flop of this color, it's pretty neat too. Definitely shows up in the shop without the camera. It's a little less noticeable here. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today, and it's been a lot of fun getting this done, but it's also been a lot of work. But so my winter project was getting this engine bay done, so I get the car assembled, and I've got that done, and it looks super. I'm happy with the color. The matrix paint, the clear works amazing, and thank you again to Mike, my paint rep at Color Compass. This color looks amazing, the clear works awesome, and if you guys want to see more, we'll keep going. I'll keep making videos, and I think next time we'll probably be doing some assembly, maybe getting the wheels. I want to get those wheels done. Tony's actually got the tires ordered for me, and they're sitting in the showroom, so as soon as I get the wheels done, we can put the tires on, and they got a lot of grip. So stay tuned. We'll be getting that stuff featured as well. I'm thinking the tires and the bushings together with those urethane bushings, this car should handle better than I ever planned it to. I could maybe hit an autocross with it, but I put so much time into it. We'll see. I'm just feeling good that this progress is where it's at. It makes you really want to give her and get her done. So if you like what you see, feel free to hit the bell, let yourself know when the next video comes. And if you've got questions for me, drop them in the comments, and I always read the comments, and I try and write back to you guys. And thanks for those of you who've subscribed and for following along with the build. So until next time, guys, stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you later.